WWE has been running for a long time. This means a lot of concepts for characters, segments, and storylines have already been used, so the company needs to consistently come up with fresh, intriguing ideas. Sometimes this means coming up with stories and segments that are a little out there, and that's where things get weird and oftentimes offensive, even though they may be entertaining. This video will cover 10 times WWE completely crossed the line. For a gimmick WWE has come up with, Eugene was a mentally handicapped wrestler. On its own, that isn't the worst gimmick ever, or maybe it is, but things got really bad when Eugene was constantly bullied by other WWE superstars on a weekly basis. Not only is this offensive, but it also encouraged bullying in a sense, as millions of children saw their favorite wrestlers go after Eugene. You'd think WWE would realize the errors of their ways pretty quickly, right? Nope. Eugene was released after 3 years on TV, and only after failing multiple drug tests. Given the fact WWE viewers are undoubtedly of multiple faiths, you'd think WWE would shy away from religion-based storylines to avoid offending people in any way. Once again, WWE ignored the obvious and actually went ahead with possibly the worst match idea in history. Vince McMahon teamed up with his son Shane to face off against Shawn Michaels and God. You heard me right. Now, nobody actually accompanied Michaels for the match, but God did have an entrance where a white spotlight was supposed to represent him as it made its way to the ring. Shawn Michaels tag teaming with God. Wow. For those of you who remember Road Warrior Hawk, I'm sure you've heard of his alcohol and drug abuse issues. Well, WWE decided this would make for a great storyline, but instead it ended up becoming known as one of the most disturbing of all time. Hawk, who was supposedly drunk, climbed atop the Titantron in an attempt to commit suicide. Puke, a partner of Hawk's, climbed up as well and ended up pushing him off the Titantron. This came after weeks of Hawk stumbling to the ring drunk. Let alone the horrible Puke storyline, WWE definitely went too far by using Hawk's real-life issues for entertainment, rather than getting him help. As Sasha Banks pointed out on This Past Raw, women in wrestling have come a long way. Nothing puts that into perspective more than Trish Stratus' famous segment with Vince McMahon, in which he was forced to get on all fours and bark like a dog while being marched around the ring. Not only that, but Vince then forced her to strip down on live television and in front of thousands of people. To top it off, Vince called Trish Daddy's little toy. This was absolutely degrading and a prime example of WWE going way too far with an angle, as well as the mishandling of female talent in the past. Remember that whole CM Punk Undertaker feud? I wouldn't blame you if you forgot about it, as it really didn't have much going for it. That is, until WWE decided to use the real-life death of Paul Bearer as a way to add fuel to the fire. CM Punk, the company's top heel, used Paul Bearer's ashes to draw out The Undertaker before scattering them on top of him. This was just utterly disrespectful, and fans everywhere were outraged by the despicable act. Now, to be fair, WWE did get consent from Paul Bearer's family before actually doing it, but they later said that what they saw on TV wasn't anything like the original proposal. Either way, it was just too much, too soon. Speaking of The Undertaker, he's done some pretty crazy things himself. Besides making Mideon drink the blood from his slit wrists and trying to embalm Stone Cold, Undertaker used a giant cross to sacrifice people on live television. This evil persona had no problem attempting to sacrifice Stone Cold and Stephanie McMahon after tying them to the cross. He also tried to marry Stephanie in some sort of dark wedding, though it wasn't successful. Now, I personally love this supernatural version of Taker, but I also understand how this would terrify younger viewers and enrage those who are religious. Vince McMahon has made fun of Jim Ross and embarrassed him on multiple occasions, and he showed he isn't above anything when he tastelessly imitated JR in his medical condition. If you don't know, Jim Ross suffers from Bell's palsy, which has caused a bit of deformation of his face. As mentioned, Vince did his Jim Ross impression in 2012, which can be found online, for which he received a ton of heat. Fans simply saw it as being in bad taste, and I agree with that. What do you guys think? Here's one that'll really upset you pet lovers. The Big Boss Man decided to kidnap Al Snow's pet dog, Pepper. In order to get him back, Al Snow simply had to sit down and have dinner with the Boss Man. I think you can see where this is going. As Snow scarfed down his meal, which he said was very good, it was revealed that Boss Man had just made Snow eat his beloved Pepper. Yes, Al Snow ate his own dog. I mean, I guess it was something different, but damn, that is just bad. Vince McMahon, the visionary behind WWE, thought it was a good idea to kill himself on an episode of Raw. Vince's limo exploded during the show after he got in, implying that he was killed. They took this a step further by having the McMahon family pay their respects to their deceased father the next week. Now, this was all part of Vince's plan to get his character off the air and transition to a behind-the-scenes role, but this terrible plan failed in the end. The real-life death of Chris Benoit came just 2 weeks later, prompting Vince to come back for the tribute show and reveal himself as alive. Fortunately for us, nothing tops the absolutely disgusting Katie Vick angle. The storyline had Triple H and Kane feuding back in 2002. It was revealed that Kane had killed his girlfriend Katie Vick, which isn't all that bad when you look at everything WWE's done over the years. However, things got weird when Triple H, donning a Kane mask, molested the deceased Ms. Vick in her casket in a disgusting act of necrophilia on live television. I really don't know what was going through Hunter's head, and I think it's better off that way. This one stands as the single most disturbing angle WWE has run in my opinion, and hopefully it never gets beaten for the top spot. And those are 10 times WWE completely crossed the line. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe. Also, be sure to follow Wrestling Up on Twitter to stay up to date with videos. The link is in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.